We're gonna. We mentioned in the Chassidus in the morning shir, the Alter Rebbe and Tanya mentions in numerous places that we have a mishcha dechivya, that we have a skin of a snake, and in Perek Mem Zayin, the Alter Rebbe talks about Yitzias Mitzrayim, which Yitzias Mitzrayim is now the topic of the day, because now we're right before Pesach, which is all about Yitzias Mitzrayim. So we'll learn about the Nachash. It's not really directly connected, but interesting things about the Nachash. So we're going to focus on Medrash and Yaakov Mamleis. The Yaakov Mamleis brings that we know that after the Nachash caused Chava to sin, and Adam Rishon to sin by Chedit Tzadas, so he was cursed. So in the pasuk itself it says Orur Ata, but the details of the curses, Rashi brings a few things, but the Medrash and Yaakov Mamleis brings 10 different curses. So we're going to bring the 10 curses that are there, and a little bit more information on each one of them. Whatever there is, we can add. So the first curse that's brought down is what the pasuk says: Al gechoin chatelech yordu malachi ashoris v'kotzitzu lo yodo v'raglov. That the malachim came down and they chopped off his arms and legs. As we know that originally the Nachash was somehow similar to a human in the sense that he had the hands and feet, and then the malachim cut it off. And the call of his crying was heard from one end of the world to the other end of the world. Now, what does it mean that it looked like hands and legs? So people have all these things that they find with snakes, which have some kind of hands or pashtus. All these things, either they're fake, photoshopped, or even if they're real, they for sure have no bearings on the original Nachash, because once Hashem chopped off his arms and legs, nothing remained from them. So all these pictures you can find, different pictures, obviously have no connection to what the Nachash actually looked like. But there's a Medrash Sefer Chassidim that says that the Nachash, even though his arms and legs were cut off, again, the implication is that he was somewhat human-like. So even though his arms and legs were cut off, but his eyes didn't change. The implication is that he was similar to human, and everything else changed about him besides his eyes. A human eye and a snake eye seem to be very similar. So that would be the simple pshat in the Sefer Chassidim. However, it's not so understood, because these are eyes of other animals, and as you see, other animals also, some of them are very different than the human eyeball. But the one on the top left and the second one and the one on the bottom right, they also are somewhat similar. The third one is also not so different. So I actually asked different people about it, about what's the pshat that the eye of the Nachash didn't change, and it's kiviyachol similar, and then people that I asked didn't have an answer either. But it's mashma that the Sefer Chassidim is telling us that it was kiviyachol, a lot was changed about him, not just his arms and legs, and only the eye didn't change. There's a medrash called Oisius de Rabbi Akiva, and he adds more details about this curse, about this punishment. And he says that the Eibishter called the Nachash, and the Eibishter told him, because you misbehaved and you caused the whole sin to happen. So the Eibishter said, Al gechoin chaseilech. And when that happened, the Nachash answered in a chutzpah kind of way, and he said, Ribono olam, im kein hu im retzoincha eya kadog. If you want me to be like a fish, shebesoich hayam she'en leraglaim, so I'll be like a fish. Fine, not a big deal. I won't have arms and legs. I'll just swim in the water. The Eibishter told him, Afar toichal, you're going to eat afar. We'll soon see what does that mean exactly. At the Nachash eats afar. So the Nachash answered, that it might be fish that also swallow different afar. So I'll do the same thing. So since he was speaking chutzpahdik, so the Eibishter called him out, and the Eibishter tfasei lakadosh baruch hu lenachash. Vayikra l'shoyne l'shnei kroim, and Hashem ripped his lashon, his tongue, into two parts. And Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Rosh Hashabaylam, Alta Yischalta B'Lashon Hara. You're the one that began speaking Lashon Hara. Lefichach, I'm going to give you a punishment that's not like anything else. Ani Mediya L'Kol Boye Olam, I'm going to let the whole world know Shel L'shoyncha Goram L'cha Kol Zois, that your tongue, your speaking was what caused you to get punished. And as we all know, the snake of a tongue is in the picture, has a split, is nikra, has a split to it, which is a result of the Eibishter's punishment. And the punishment is because of the Lashon Hara. Now, the Nachash, when we say today Lashon Hara, we always connect Lashon Hara to speaking bad about somebody. But really, any kind of speaking not appropriately, whether it's lying or convincing somebody to do an Aveda, it's also included in the category of Lashon Hara. So the Nachash, besides the fact that he spoke Kivyochel and Lashon Hara about the Eibishter and other things, but his whole way he convinced Chava to do the Aveda was by speaking. So his whole koyach was from the Lashon, and the Eibishter said, and also in this medrash you see how he's chutzpahdik. So in this medrash we see the punishment that the Eibishter punished him with the Lashon. This is all part of the punishment of the deformation of the Nachash's body, that his arms and legs were chopped off, and his tongue was ripped, besides the eye, whatever that's supposed to mean. Klallo number 2 is what the pasuk said. We mentioned v'afar teichal kol yemei chayecha. Simple pshat. Rashi says, afilu oichel kol ha'ma'adanim sheba'olam. Even though he eats all the delicacies in the world, he's always going to toyim bechika. He's going to taste tam offer. He's always going to taste sand. So that we know the Nachash does eat many different kinds of animals. It's definitely like that. But afal pichein, Chazal tell us that he only eats offer. But then there's the Gemara in Yuma. The Gemara in Yuma says a little bit differently. The Gemara brings two opinions, Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi. Chad Omar, taka what we said. Afilu oichel kol ma'adani oilam toyim be'em tam offer. No matter what he eats, he's going to taste him like offer. The Chad Omar one says, afilu oichel kol ma'adani oilam, he'll ein daito mi yusheves olav acha yechal offer. Not the pshat that he actually tastes offer whenever he eats whatever he eats. Rather, he's not satisfied till he eats offer. He has to eat sand or earth, and only then he's going to be satisfied. So according to this pshat, the Nachash has taste. According to the first pshat, he has no taste. The Nachash can't taste, or everything tastes the same thing to him. According to the second pshat, he could taste, but he's not satisfied till he ends up eating offer. Now the pshat is written by the Bukhari Shayr, one of the Mefarshim on Chumash. He has a pshat. He says, "V'afar teicha kol yemei chayecha," nothing to do with the taste of the Nachash. Rather, shemitoich shepicha ba'aretz, since your mouth is always on the ground, yikon neis ha'avar b'seich picha. This is more of the pasuk is saying, since you have no arms and legs, and therefore whatever you're eating is on the ground and you can't pick it up and clean it, and as you're eating it, you end up swallowing the ground with you. So it's part of the klallo that you don't have arms and legs, is that you're going to end up eating offer. But according to the Bukhari Shor, it has nothing to do with the pshat, with the taste buds of the Nachash. So this is a different pshat. The hemshich to the, and according to this pshat, he has mamish no taste. He has regular taste kivyochel like other animals. And this is a big question on this whole shita, which is on the Gemara, the first shita, and what Rashi says as well, that Itake doesn't have taste buds, which l'chayra, there are rules when it comes to, you leave open a cup of the mashkim, of different things, so it says that certain things, the zachshash, the nachas will drink from it, and certain things he won't drink from, or he won't eat from. Why? Because kivyachol, certain things the nachash doesn't like, and certain things he does like. So according to that, is a big kasha. We're saying that the Nachash tastes everything as offer. So what's the difference? What it is that he's drinking? So I saw in the sefer, when quoting over, he writes, I don't remember which sefer it was, but he says a svara like this. He says that taka everything tastes like offer. However, by offer itself, in earth itself, there are different tastes. There's different types of offer. And it brings the Rai from the Gemara in Shabbos, which is brought down in Rashi al Chumash. And the Gemara says over there that there's a nation called Chivi. And they taste the earth, they eat earth like chivya. Again, chivya is a snake. And they're also called the Am Haaretz. Rashi brings this on Chumash. And Rashi says that this nation, these chivi, they would be able to taste earth. And when they put a piece of earth in their mouth, they can tell you, this piece of earth, it's kedai to plant over here, tavua. And this place, you plant kitniyos. They can tell you each piece of land what to taste. So, what to plant. So from that Gemara, it comes out that indeed there's different tastes, there's different types of offer. So according to this, we can say that indeed the Nachash tastes offer, but there's different types of offer, and some types of offer he likes, and that's where the chash that he's going to drink from that, and some types of offer he does not like, and that's why he doesn't eat. He tastes all food as offer, but an offer itself. So some foods have one taste of offer, and some foods taste like a different type of offer. And therefore, some he likes, some he doesn't like, but it's still all offer. It's a whole doichak, the whole thing, because according to that, then if everything he still likes or doesn't like, the whole kavana was that he's not going to enjoy what he's eating because it's all offer. But that's a svara to say, it's a one of the questions, an interesting question. You can also say that even though the taste is the same, maybe there's an element of texture that he doesn't like, and that's why there's no chash. But kapanim, it's another interesting discussion regarding the chash of the nachash drinking when there's why certain things he doesn't drink if everything tastes the same. According to the B'chayr that we said, that he does have taste buds, it's just that he ends up swallowing, there's no shiloh. So according to the second opinion, the Gemara, that he has taste buds, he's just not satisfied to offer, then it's also understood, because he has taste buds and doesn't like certain things.
He don't think they're fun. Not that he likes one. The other ones he doesn't eat because it's very bad. The other ones he can handle, the other ones he can't handle. That bad.
That's what the same shot that we said before.
Because he likes one. He doesn't like any of them.
Not liking and disliking is very, very similar, yeah? What does science have to say about this? Interesting question. So scientists, there are opinions that say that snakes do not have any taste buds and they cannot taste. And so this would fit with the first opinion. However, the article is saying basically that there's limited information on on the taste buds of snakes, and there's also contradictory reports, meaning even scientists, some of them came up with masconas, there is no taste, and some of them came up with masconas that they do have taste. So in Chazal, we already see different shittas and different explanations, so just to point this out. Another interesting thing that the scientists, another svara to say, what's the pshat? This is a scientific explanation. What does it mean? So it's Yadua, we mentioned before, the tongue of the snake is split into two, and there's also the concept that everybody knows that snakes, they're constantly sticking out their tongues and making a hissing sound. So scientists have explained that what they're doing is that they're tasting the dust that's in the ear, and the particles of the dust are captured on their tongue, and then it goes into their mouths, as you see over here. Where's the cursor? It goes up over here to this vomeronasal organ, and from here it goes to their brain, and then the brain tells them what the particles of dust that they right now captured. It tells them what is it? Is it a predator? Is it prey? Is it a danger or not? So, and then they go and afterwards and they chase whatever, they run away. So according to this pshat, definitely it has taste buds, but it's constantly eating the afar, it's constantly tasting the odor of the particles of dust in the ear in order for it to know how to live and survive and to run away from what is danger from it. So this is an interesting pshat. What does afar toichal mean? That it's constantly eating afar in the sense that it's always testing the ear around it. Obviously, the nachash does definitely eat other things, but the curse of Teichal Kol Yemei Hayacha can be learned in different ways, like we saw basically to summarize three ways. Either everything tastes like offer, or it's not satisfied till it eats offer, or that it ends up eating offer because everything is on the ground. Number 3 is what the Gemara, the Torah says, Order ato mikol habehemo mikol chayas hasada. On these words, we teach iburei shel nachash sheva shonim, that the nachash, it takes it 7 years from when it gets pregnant till it actually gives birth. Now, regarding this, there's a famous Gemara. The Gemara says, Pilosof echod, there was a philosopher that bikesh leida nachash lakama moili. He wanted to know how long does it take for a snake to give birth. Kevan shero isun asukin zeim, he saw the snake, the male snake and the female snake mating. Netalon unasan bachavi, so then he separated them and he put the female snake in a barrel. And he gave it food till it ended up giving birth. And it took him it took 7 years. When the Skenim came up to Rome, so this philosopher was a guy, Ras Rabban Gamliel. He knew Rabban Gamliel, the Chacham would come to Rome for political things, to speak to the government. So Amar Loi, so the philosopher asked Rabban Gamliel, how long does it take for a snake to give birth? And the Rabban Gamliel didn't know the answer. So Rabban Gamliel felt very bad that he wasn't able to answer the philosopher, because you know the Torah has the answers to all the questions, and now Rabban Gamliel, who was a big Tana that knew the Torah, didn't have the answer. Rabbi Yeshua noticed met Rabban Gamliel. So Amar Lei, Rabbi Yeshua asked Rabban Gamliel, Lamba panacha chelonyes, why do you look so sad? What's bothering you? Amar Loi, sha'ayla achas nishalti, I was asked a question, v'lo yacholti la'ashiv, and I feel bad, I couldn't give a good answer. Amar Loi mahi, so Rabbi Yeshua asked him, what was the question? Amar Loi, the question that I was asked, was Lakama Hanochash Moedet. How long does it take for? So Rabbi Yeshua answered on the spot, Amar Loi Lezayin Shonim. It takes it 7 years. Amar Loi Minayin. So I'm asking, how do you know that? Amar Loi, the source is as follows. Hakelev is a Chaya Tmeya. A dog is considered a Chaya Tmeya, not kosher Chaya, not a behema, kosher Chaya. Moilid Linun Yom. For a dog, it takes 50 days from conception to birth. Ubehema Tmeya means over here a pig. Yoledes Liyud Beis Chodesh. It takes 12 months till it gets from conception to birth. Uksiv, and it says by the Nachash, you are cursed from behema and chaya. Says Rabbi Yeshua, Keshem sha'behema rura min chaya shiva, kach Nachash order min behema shiva. That the behema tmeya is worse than the chaya tmeya. The chaya tmeya is 50 days, and 50 days times 7 equals 12 months. So just like the pig is 7 times longer than the dog, which means that the behema tmeya 7 times longer than the chaya tmeya, so too the pasuk is saying the nachash is 7 times longer than the behema. And since the behema tmeya is 12 months a year, that's why the nachash is 7 years. Kemafni Rabshan, the next morning, Solak, Rabbi Gamliel went up to this philosopher, and he told them that it's 7 years. So the philosopher started banging his head against the wall. Omar, I had to spend 7 years doing research. This seed came and he gave it to me on one foot. I could right away. He knew the answer. Basically, that he saw that the Torah has the answers to all the questions. So this is the Gemara regarding this Klallo that it takes 7 years. The poil today, there are different types of snakes. Some snakes lay eggs. Some snakes give birth to actual snakes. And as far as it's known today in science, there are different types of snakes at different times. As scientists today have not found the snakes that takes them 7 years. There have been stories of 4 years or 5 years, meaning a snake that was in captivity alone, a female snake, 4 years alone, and it gave birth, and it was understood that it had been with a male snake 4 years prior. So it's Bechlal, in many of these things we say, Nishtanu Ha'itim, times have changed, and Kopanim, there's certain inyanim about it that the Pashas not pass further. No, it's a Geisha philosopher. It doesn't say Gemara. So we don't see the names of the philosophers. Curse number 4, Orata Anochash Utamid Sarua. Sarua, we know, means leprosy, that it has a tzaras on it. So there's a Balaturim, when the Pasuk talks about Alpidrush, that the Pasuk talks about sending out Tmeim, people that are Tomei out of the Machane, out of the Machne Shechina, Machne Yisrael. So it says you should send out Kol Tzarua ve'Kol Zova Kol Tomei Lenefesh. So the Balaturim says that this is the psukim after the Karban Chatas. The Balaturim says that the reason why the Torah tells us the dinim of sending the Tmeim out right after the dinim of Karban Chatas is to tell us that that the 3 types of Tmeim are similar to the 3 people involved, the 3 creatures involved in Chetei Tzadas, which is Adam Rishon, the Nachash, and Chava. And he explains that the 3 of them altogether were punished, and their punishments are compared to these 3 things. Hanachash was punished with Tzaras, the Isha was punished with Ziva, like it says with Kolzov, and the man was punished with Mavis. And that's based on the Klallo over there, the Klallo, that the way they were cursed. In the Psukim in Bereshis, that's how the Pasuk lists them over here as well. Tzarua is the Nachash first, and afterwards Zav is the Isha, then Tamei the Nachash. So there's a comparison between a Nachash and a Tzarua. A pale mamash, what does that mean? I haven't been able to figure out either. I mean, Nachashim have all these spots on them, but that's part of their patterns on their skin. I mean, there are cheetahs and leopards and many other animals, zebras, that have all these spots. Maybe it means the scales. The scales is more annoying. Maybe that's what it means about the Nachash that has spots on it. There are different types of Nachashim. Some of them may be more distinct than others. Whatever the pshat is, the Torah compares it to Tzarua. It has an element of Tzaras. The Nachash is considered a Mitzvah. Kalalah number 5 is what it says, Aruratahu Meishil Oirei Kol Sheva Shonim. And the Nachash has to get rid of its skin every 7 years, so that's a process which is known as skinning or scathing, where the Nachash has to shed its skin. It's a process that happens by snakes. It's actually a painful process. That's why it's a Kalalah, that every once in a while it grows. The inside of the snake grows, but its outer layer does not grow. And the Mela, it ends up being constricted and tied in its previous shell, and it has to rip it open and climb out of it. And that's the pshat, that it removes its scales. So lav dafka does it happen every 7 years in today's science. At the lashon of 7 years, I'm not sure where that comes from, but a component of the teichen, definitely it's a painful process that the nachash has to go, which is a result of the klala. An interesting thing about the skin of the nachash, about this klala. So there's a medrash. The medrash says, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, min ha'oir shenifshat hanachash, from the skin that Hashem used, that Hashem skinned the snake. Also, HaKadosh Baruch Hu kosnes kovid lo yula ozer. We know that after the Chitei Tzadas, the Adam and Chava felt that they needed clothes, so Hashem gave them clothes. There are many opinions where the clothes came from. So some say it was from the skin of the snake. And today also there are industries that their whole of clothing, that their whole koch is dafka to give snake clothing made out of the snakes of a skin. There's actually a famous company called Gucci that people might have heard of that uses snake skins, and they say that they actually use real snake skin. Since they needed so many skins of the snakes, they opened up a farm of snakes. That the purpose of the farm was just to raise the snakes in order to be able to remove their skins to make the clothing that Adam Rishon had in Gan Eden, or after he left Gan Eden, actually.
Rashi says that the clothing of Adam and Chava were made out of the leaves of the fig tree.
Correct. Like I said, there are different opinions what they were made of. The Gemara has another opinion made out of rabbit skins, some is made out of cotton, and so on. And this is a medrash that we saw that learns that it was from the snake skins.
Yeah, you think there's a coat.
Possibly. The next curse is Va'eva Ashis, Sheyesh Eva G'doyla Ben Ha'isha Va'anochash. That is a natural hatred between Isha, woman, and snakes. Everybody knows, if you tell your mother there's a snake in the house, it usually is not going to end well. The Maharal adds on that, and the Maharal says that the nachash will also cause pain to a person with loy hana, meaning there are predator animals that will not attack humans unless they're provoked, and then there are animals that will only attack someone if they're hungry. But the nachash will attack a person even though he has a no hana and doesn't feel threatened. The Maharal explains, Kishnei dvarim shenivdalim ba'atzam, two things that are be'emes opposites. Kamei hanachash v'ha'adam, yesh eva b'neim, there's an everlasting hatred between them. Ulefichach hanachash neishech b'loy hanas atzmoi rak lahazik acher. The nachash is only looking to inflict pain with nothing else. And the Maharal continues, and he says that we compare the nachash to a Baal Lashon Hara. The Maharal says the person that speaks Lashon Hara in a sense is the same thing, because also he doesn't have any speaking bad about somebody. There's no you don't gain anything from it, and that's why you're also a Baal Lashon Hara is compared to a nachash. That's why the punishment of the Baal Lashon Hara is the saras, which separates him from everybody else, because since you can't hang out with other people, because you just inflict pain on them by speaking Lashon Hara, so your punishment is to be put far away from everybody else. And when you search on Google about different animals that are hated, so many websites, many lists of the hated animals, so then the snakes will be the most hated animal, accompanying from the top. And this is based on what the pasuk tells us, that the Eibishter made this curse not only between Yidden and the snakes, the Havdil Goyim and snakes also. It's a hated animal all across the board. Klala number 7 is Hu Yishuv Charoish. This is a klala that it's easier for a person to step on, to crush the skull of a nachash. So there's interesting kliyakar and Avidas Hashem about this whole piece. Hu Yishuv Charoish Vatet Shefenu Akiv. The kliyakar says that the Yetzer Hara Bechlal is connected to the nachash. And the Yetzer Hara, when it comes to a person that starts off like it's like a chut shelakovish, meaning it's like a spider web, cobwebs, which is very easy to brush away. Over time, the Yetzer Hara turns into agolo, the thick ropes that are used to tie down wagons. The Kach Nemer, the pasuk says, "Hu Yishuv Charoish." This is an instruction to a Yid. Ki imi yazoris v'yetze v'yelachim b'yitzrei hara b'roish. If you crush its head, meaning as soon as the Yetzer Hara comes to you, right away you step on it, then you can easily crush it. It'll be easy for the person to control it. And get rid of it. Just like getting rid of a cobweb, it's very simple. However, says the Kliyakar, in the beginning, Yetzer Hara comes to a little small thing, and he convinces you to do Avera. And you follow him day by day, till the Yetzer Hara becomes so powerful, like ropes of a wagon. It'll be very hard to control him, to win the Yetzer Hara. he's going to win you. The Kach Nemer El Nachash, the Pasuk tells the Nachash, Va'ata Tishufenu Okiv. This is telling the Nachash, you'll be able at the end to grab the Yidach Man Islam, Ki Okiv Hainu Asoif, V'ratzo Beze, She'im Basoif, Rotze Lelochim Becha, that if the Yid wakes up after giving into the Yisara for a long time, then the Eibusher tells the Nachash, don't worry, if at that point already you're going to win. It'll be too hard for the Yid to get rid of the Yitzhahara. He's so involved with your taivus and all your stuff. It'll be too hard. Which is Al-Derech, this is a famous from the Friedrich Rebbe. That when it comes to Avodah Zarah, Hayem Eimer Le'asekach, Lamachar Eimer Le'asekach, Acha Eimer Le'lech Avodah Zarah. The Tzahara comes to a person for the small Tzahara, and with a small Avodah and a small, bigger Avodah, until he makes him do Avodah Zarah. So this is the lesson of the Hu Yeshuv Charosh. That it's easy. The Klallo says, so to speak, to the Nachash is that he has no control over the Yid, and therefore concludes the Klayakar. V'zeh kam gemoshel ala tshuva, sha'adam eiseh bebachrusay. That when you're a young bacher, the Hainu Bereishi Mecheldei Benokel Elaziv Darkei. It's so much easier for you to do bad things, to stay away from bad things, to control yourself. However, once you're older already, and you're used to doing the bad things, the Nachash will have control. So before we learn, the Klayakar said Pshat, that this is a bracha to the Nachash, that he'll be able to win the Yid at the end of the battle. But another, the Yaakov Mamleis brings another Pshat, Shaha'eretz nimsa b'seich piv, v'kach heilech v'noishev, that the venom or the poison that the Nachash has is in his mouth, and that's why he's constantly hissing. He's always being careful not to swallow his own poison. Like the Chazal say, Eres Nachash ben Shinav Oymed, that the snake of the Nachash is between his teeth, between his shinayim. So there's actually an article, there was a story about a snake that actually bit itself. It was in a cage, and it was in a cage and running around. But the snake knows what's its own body. But I guess for some reason the movement got confused, and it thought that the end of itself was a different snake, a predator, someone that's challenging it. So it gave itself a bite, and its own venom killed it. So this is scientists discuss this thing, and discuss it. Is it possible that the snake of itself will kill itself? So there's definitely documented stories of the snake's own poison killing itself. But it's protecting itself by constantly hissing and making sure it doesn't swallow its own poison. But we see from this Inyan that this is the curse of the pasuk. Another interesting word al bichsidis, Rab Shimshon Astropola. Astropola, everyone usually associates with Heschel Astropola, who was known to be a letz. But there's also a big tzaddik, Rab Shimshon Astropola, and he says on this word that the Eres Nachash ben Shinav Oymed, that the snake, the poison of the snake is between his shinayim. So he bases on what Chazal tell us, that even when a snake does bite somebody and poison him, so it's not the Nachash that's killing, it's the Yid that sinned. The Aveda is what's causing the punishment to come. So Rab Shimshon ties like this. He said there's Nachash and there's Satan. So he says the middle letter of the word Nachash is Ches, and the middle letter of the word Satan is Tes. And if you take out the Ches and the Tes of the Nachash and the Satan, you'll end up having the Shein. So that's what it says. The Eres of the Nachash, meaning the poison, the power that snake has to punish somebody, is between the Shens, it's between the two Shinayim. That the Chet between, that's what gives the Nachash its koyach. So Eres Nachash bein Shinav Oymed, that not the Nachash itself can cause the pain, rather it's the Chet of the Yid that misbehaves, that's what Chas v'Sholom can cause the punishment. And ninth thing the Medrash says is Aratas Amovis, which I'm not sure exactly specifically what it means. Snakes die. I don't really know why specifically, as we know everything pretty much dies. I'll put him that's what the Medrash Yaakov Mamlei says, a ninth curse. And the 10th curse that the Medrash brings is Kol Yemei Chayecha. We know coming now to the Seder, like you mentioned. So everyone knows the famous pasuk. So the Bala Agada says Yemei Chayecha Yom Haza Kol Yemei Chayecha. No, it's a Mashiach. That means the Medrash, the Agada means that even Yemei Mashiach, we're going to have to still remember Tchias HaMeisim. Other Pirushim as well. That's a simple pshat. So Al Derech over here, the Medrash says Kol Yemei Chayecha. The curse will be even L'Asid Lavei. Shelo Yisrapi L'Asid Lavei. So the Rabbeinu Bachi says Kol Yemei Chayecha Yagid Shaha'inish Hazeh. This punishment will not Lo Yazmen Leilo. Va'afilu bizman HaMashiach, adds Rabbeinu Bachye, that only one specific curse will remain. And that is the curse that he's going to eat offer. And he explains, which curse will stop? The curse that now there's a hatred between man or woman, whatever, humans, and Nechashim, that curse will stop. And he brings the Raya, Kinin Shakosov, V'shia shayonik al chur pasuk, that a child will play at the hole of a snake, and he won't be afraid of being bitten because there's a snake, and humans won't be in a fight anymore. However, this punishment, that will never stop. Even when Mashiach comes, he's going to eat offer. And he brings a eye from the pasuk that a wolf and a lamb will pashazach. They'll eat together hay or grass, greens. And a lion together with cattle will eat heaven. The same pasuk which tells us that the lion and the wolf are going to be eating grass and hay, it says that the nachash will still eat offer. That even Mashiach will beg that. And Hayako brings what we said. That also over here it means the Mesa Mashiach. That now we're getting towards Mashiach times, and therefore it's coming more and more that people are having more of a kesher with Nechashim. Some people more than others, and even though we feel that way, everyone has their own opinions. And the last joke of the night will be.